All right, so I'm gonna break down all of the songs on Shopping Cart from We're Talking to How Come It Happens, all 13 of them. So right here, I've actually got the original Logic project that I worked out of for We're Talking. So I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about the song, what kind of came to me writing it. I wrote it actually when I was in Nashville back in like May 2022. I was about to graduate from my master's and wrote it on acoustic. I don't say it like this on purpose, but I thought it was a throwaway song, and I ultimately shelved it for a while. But then later I brought it to the band, like, how could you not have this on the record? And so I ended up recording it a half step up, a little bit more upbeat. By far, it's the most catchy, like, ish kind of pop, like upbeat song. It's definitely a good song to start with for the record. But I really wanted this guitar tone right here. You can hear more so in this one. I wanted a massive guitar sound, and this song for sure leans into like the early Goo Goo Dolls, like Superstar Car Wash. You know, like what song is it? It's definitely got that really dirty sound, but kind of a dark, warm sound at the same time. And that's the Rat I'm using in just like a digital plugin. But I fell in love with it, and it's got all those like leads, you know, a lot of that like B string, open E stuff that I do, which I think Johnny Resnick definitely does a lot of. Falling Down is the song. So that this definitely pays homage to that. And yeah, this bass part's the original demo bass part that I actually ended up having Mike play on, just because him and Sam could really lock in, and I think they sound great together. And Mike did play some of the stuff that I played on the demo, but he came up with some of his own stuff, which sounds great. But it's a love song. Ultimately, it's a love song, a fake love song. It's no relationship that I went through. I like to write a lot of fake love songs because it's easy to write about. And I can kind of write it as like I'm third person mediating, and just this one's kind of like basically two people that break up. They haven't been together for a while, but like they're talking again. We're talking, and they came to terms, but it's still something about it still hurts and is bitter, and it's not fully resolved, if that makes sense. And I felt like it was a good basis for a song, and it definitely fits the vibe of the instrumental and everything. And it's a good song too for me, where I think like I kind of go between loud and soft a lot, and doubled the vocals in the chorus, but here you can hear it's a single vocal. So it's a good mixture of everything. And this is not Sam's drums. These are the Logic drums that I almost always record over for guitars and bass and vocals. I like to do that stuff first, just given I'm a guitar player at heart. And so even if I have to record the drums later, and they always say you should record drums first. This was Sam's idea, by the way, to go back. He had come up with that in the studio one day before one of our shows. He was like, I have a great idea for us to throw in if you want. And he was like, we should stop there. And I think dynamics like that are so important. Even just like for me writing, adding in elements, like I'm all about adding new things throughout the song and just making it interesting for the listener. Like for example, this octave part, like even just a simple thing where I play it in the second and third choruses, but for the third I slide in instead. Like it's a simple thing that you may not even hear, but you know, I think just little things like that make a song meaningful and interesting. And then here I really wanted a big hold-out chord. There's 4 overdub guitars here, so I wanted a massive sound. And this is before I did the do-do-do reverb part. That is the same reverb pedal I used for like Bring Me Back to in those Blue Reverb songs. But yeah, that's We're Talking. It's a good first opener to the album. It's a good fake love song for all to enjoy. Hope you enjoy that one. Oh man, Instead. Well, Instead, it's so funny because this one I think I must have had the chord progression, but and I don't do this very often, and believe me, I'm not unattentive at my work, but I do sometimes, anybody, gets sidetracked or daydreams a little bit. I was upstairs on a Monday, I was working remotely, and I decided to I came up with the melody and the lyrics for this part right here, Never Quite Beginning the Life I Really Want Instead. I don't know how, but this whole vocal part just came to me like sitting at my desk at work. And I think part of the reason it did is like, as much as I am thankful for my job and I'm very happy where I am, I thought it was a cool message because I am in this position where, as happy as I am and fortunate as I am, I do want to be able to do this full time, and there are things that are holding me back, and this song is sort of about those limitations and inabilities to do so and things that hold you back, and holding out my hope of the possibility to be you is just sort of like, leaning into the concept of like not being able to do both music, even though I am. It's a cool concept because a lot of people don't think they can. And the thing I'm talking about is, not being a rock star, but doing music full time. And struggle, sable, boy, trouble, hope, fate, and joy. I thought it'd be cool to have like a simple chorus, and it be kind of basic and just monotone, sort of like low volume, low octave, and have not volume, and then have the solo come in, which is kind of just like a formulaic, short, but like catchy guitar solo. And I wrote this song in D-tuning and this whole thing so that you can only play the solo exactly. If you want to learn how to play the solo by Carter Brady, whatever, you have to tune your guitar down a whole step. And so I kind of did that because I think for guitar heads out there, it does change the sound a little bit. It makes a difference when you do something different. And then I made the last chorus loud. And there's not a lot of tracks on here. I tend to really like double the crap out of a lot of guitars, almost too much. But I've learned to take it back a little bit. But I recorded one of the guitars on a Les Paul, the other on my Gibson ES335. But there's like an octave thing that comes in, and you're gonna hear this in a lot of the shopping cart songs if you haven't already, but I really have tried to make the octaves and the B string, like E, open E, ring outs, like my signature sound, and I'm definitely proud of it. And then like a cool like harmony guitar thing at the end that kind of pulls it all full circle. But ultimately instead is about, the insecurities and the inability or loss of hope to do something you love full time, and not quite getting there yet, but sort of struggling through it. And like I said, I love where I am now, but it's certainly a cool topic and relatable message to a lot of people out there who are in my position as an indie artist trying to make sense of things in the world. So that's instead. Also, the beginning bass part, I think, definitely is. Could be iconic someday. I'm kidding. It's cool. I definitely was happy with this intro, and I ultimately had Mike play it on bass, and him and Sam played drums for this. This is the demo bass and drums, but you can hear it at the beginning, which I just thought was cool, like to start a song. I'd never done that before, so it's pretty simple, but anyway, different song. And this has the major seventh chords. Again, like not a super complex song, but it's certainly a good second song for the album, and different than We're Talking, different vibe and everything. So, grocery store, man. Well, anyway, this one is certainly the concept track on this album, and it's the shortest song. Another made-up love song about a guy kind of just wandering, getting a hold of his thoughts, thinking about some girl and just that had meant something to him, and just kind of just pondering life and thoughts in general too, just self-reflecting in a grocery store. And yeah, just kind of like feeling at peace, but also the ultimate hook at the end, as you can hear. And all I did was not find anything. I just thought it was like a cool line. And go low and then high here, I thought was cool as well. It really just, I don't know, I just thought it was unique. And then this kind of like on the A string doing this like cool, like almost like a Smiths Johnny Marr kind of like guitar part, which I don't do very much of, but, and then adding that lead guitar in. It certainly kind of got like a little bit of that swing to it too. And then these harmonies I thought were cool. I did a little bit of falsetto, you may have heard earlier as well. And this stop I did actually come up with. It wasn't Sam. This one I was like, I'm gonna do that. And then go in loud with the chorus. Add some guitars in there as well. But again, this song is just like self-pondering about a girl in life in a grocery store. That's just really what it comes down to. But it'll sound better with when you hear the drums by Sam and Mike's bass. Mike's bass part also really took this to another level. He did an incredible walking bass part that kind of had a little bit of that jazz influence. And then holding this out. Thought it was cool to introduce the harmony again at the end. Just stylistically, and for the song, it just keeps it interesting. I'm always about that. And then I did think it was cool to make the end cut out like that and have basically just picked out version of the chord progression. And then I did 2, and then I only had 1, so it like continued to get softer and softer, if that makes sense, bar by bar. But yeah, that one's Grocery Store. I'm very, very proud of that one. Again, like kind of has a little bit, it's probably the most kind of like blue reverb, like indie rock kind of vibe. Has the whole song, it does the same progression, like major 7th. It's D major 7 to C sharp minor 7. It's very simple, but like I said, some of the most simple progressions allow for you to like make and build something really special. And this one for sure, I certainly am, very proud of it. So that's Grocery Store. Late Night Temptations. So this, along with Grocery Store, are the only 2 songs on the record that I use my Rick 330. I'm much more of a Gibson guy, but Rickenbacker, the Beatles. This is the song that's for sure leaning in. I really wanted to write a song that kind of had like, it was almost like I wanted to write a song that was like an upbeat Tame Impala, like psychedelic song that still was like melodic and poppy and not too psychedelic in the fact that it like got experimental with the progressions and the cadences. This is definitely like a song that also crazy. I remember literally sitting in this spot like November 2022. That's how long this shopping cart process has been, as you can hear it. That was like, a year and a half ago. But I was sitting right here and I had my Rickenbacker. Didn't even have like anything set up other than the interface and one of my pedals. And I just came up with the chord progression and everything just clicked right away. The progression along with the breakdown that you'll hear eventually. And this song is literally just about recording music until the sun rises, literally. Late Night Temptations is literally just the urge to stay up later than you should on a school night. Well, not a school night, but for me, a work night. And just being up later than you should, not being smart, but just not being able to resist the urge to, I gotta finish out that vocal, or I gotta finish out that guitar part. I know I can bang out this song tonight when you know you shouldn't, but you still do it anyway. So, and then I thought it was cool to have, even though no one's gonna say this is a chorus, this is a chorus. Like this is a quiet chorus because it has Late Night Temptations. Like this is kind of, I thought it'd be cool to have a song where like it gets quiet without drums, and this is like supposed to be kind of the archetype part of like, this is the hook. And I don't know, some of the stuff I say, like rate my song, I wrote You'll See, like it's sort of like proving the haters wrong, like I can do this shit, like not that I have people doing that, but anybody in this world's gonna have people that may not want you to succeed, but you can't look at those people, and you gotta see all the positives, because I'm very lucky to have a ton of supporters in my life. But I think it's cool to also like have that kind of like chip on shoulder mentality as well. It helps produce some good songs and be like, yeah, I'm gonna write this song. But always writing for yourself is important. But I was really happy with this tone I got, and this is a different voicing from but you see how meaty this got, and I still could get the vocals loud. I had no problem getting all 4 guitars really loud, which I was so proud and happy about. And this solo was very simple, but I leaned into kind of the Kevin Parker, what he would have done. In my mind, I was like, what can I do that would sound like Kevin Parker? And just kind of, without copying, come up with something my own, but also emulating kind of that inner speaker lonerism Currents sound. And this I thought was cool. I basically just did unison this guitar tone. I'm like, it's awesome. And you don't hear it completely, obviously, over the vocals, but I definitely was happy with that. And then Sam, this is the old mix. Sam's already done stuff to this, but he added like an echo to my harmony in this part, which you can't even hear because I hadn't recorded it originally. But like even basic things like this, like just, I changed this up a little bit from the dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee, which I think is important. You want it to change a little bit. And then kind of an end instrumental, little solo at the end, call and response. Definitely slower than we play live. You may hear if you ever go to a show of ours, but just that's that. It definitely was a song came together pretty quickly. Sam and Mike played bass and drums on it, and all these guitars and whatnot were recorded pretty quickly in that month of November in 2022. So that's Late Night Temptations. So Late. So this song is actually not really a made-up love song. This is kind of like, it's not a love song as much as it is just like getting out your emotions you feel after like a Hinge date doesn't work out. And I mean, it's like one of those things, like it's New York City, and you know, the world we live in these days, it's just like, you know, there's just too much, you know, there's so many people out there. It's like, you know, if a date doesn't work out, move on to the next. But I kind of felt like this is someone I guess I'd gone on a few dates with, and like they cut it off, and it was like without reason. And so it's sort of like, well, I don't care. It is what it is. Like, I'll move on with my life. They move on with theirs. But it definitely allowed me to kind of like, this was a cool way to take your emotion and like write something and like make use of how you're feeling. And a lot of this stuff, like I would say it's not verbatim how I was feeling, but I think like just whatever the emotion was allowed me to write those lyrics thinking they made complete like real sense. But like when all is so over, so late is kind of just like, it's over and that's it. And it went on longer than it probably should have. It never actually had life and potential, but kind of not wasting time, but like kind of like that a little bit. But enough with the meaning of the song, because who cares that much? It's just a half real love song, and it happened a while ago, so who cares? But it made for a great song that I'm very proud of, and it's definitely kind of got a little bit of that Jimmy Eat World influence in there, and I think that it's pretty basic. Again, like it's not blue, you would not hear this on Blue Reverb. It's literally A, D, C sharp, D. But this harmony was definitely a good part to put in. I think it really gave it a boost, and it just hits. It really just hits. It was exactly what it needed. And this one, I actually meant to say this earlier. Oasis comes to mind for this, for sure. It's definitely something Noel Gallagher would have played on a lot of songs. I'm like, definitely Maybe, or What's the Story, Morning Glory. And this you're actually hearing the first master Sam ever sent me. So this is his drums on there with my bass and guitars. And he did a great job with the drums. It was perfect, it lined up completely. He's so good at recording drums after two pre-recorded guitars and laying his touch on it, serving the song really well. And then the riff comes back in, which I didn't talk about because I started with the meaning of the song, but this riff is really what centers the whole song. And then the octaves come in right here underneath. And just sing when all is over, so late a bunch of times. And the ending, I really wanted like a really good Kurt Cobain holdout scream. I try to think of what songs he does it in. He does it in something in utero, but here you'll hear it. And I really just wanted it like leave it all out there kind of thing. And I was proud of that for sure. It's a doubled scream, but like very, very glad with how that one turned out. And this is an early mix. But again, it's basically just like a half taken seriously love song, a little fling that went nowhere, but like, who cares? I'm way past it, on to another part of my life. But it gave me and left me with a great song that I can be happy with. So there you go. So my love for Foo Fighters definitely is taking center stage on this song. That's like 6 guitars overdubbed for the lead. But basically this song, like Instead, definitely leans into the feeling of like trying to fit into the confines of society and like not to be so not so dramatic and philosophical, but like essentially the song in essence is just like expressing my feelings of like having to fit in and do what everyone else does, which is 9 to 5 and XYZ, but you know, just like growing up is something I say, growing up makes me hate it, like kind of like growing up and knowing you have to like do this or that, and like even though it's like what everyone does, it's like, you know, feeling like you should be able to do what you want and do it this way, but it doesn't always work. And this riff, it's the exact melodic phrasing of fit in the chorus, and I thought that made sense to do. And I added harmonies to it. It's just massive sound, very Nirvana-like. I think Nevermind definitely would have stuff like that. And this whole song is basically just the same chord progressions, but it's like a B sus4, same Everlong chord. And then here, Sam's drumming, you don't hear it here, but he goes to the Everlong disco beat drumming, which is just fire. It's awesome. Improvise that a little, all the rest. But again, just I just thought it's simple is better, and this definitely leans into what I think Kurt Cobain did a lot of, which is like simple is better. And this is like a halftime thing I thought was cool to change it up. Since it is the same progression the whole time, make the composition different. And then this solo is very simple too. I actually think I was listening to, I was trying a bunch of different solos out, and there you can hear the fit in reverb pedal, which I thought was a cool touch. Geez, what song? Stop Crying Your Heart Out by Oasis. Noel Gallagher does like a very basic picked out solo like that, and then that was totally, and then this acoustic added some cool lead phrases underneath, but it gets loud again. And added the harmony. And then, almost like Monkey Wrench, I added the octaves. And I don't think that's exactly what they do, but it kind of has that vibe, and it's pretty much the same tempo as Monkey Wrench, or similar. And Sam's drumming's amazing on this. Mike plays bass and does some of those main parts I'd done, but came up with some of his own great stuff. And then the very end, this is even louder in the master you'll hear, like Sam bumped it up. This is 4 guitars. I don't know how I got it to be this massive of a sound, but this I really wanted to sound kind of like the tone that Nirvana Nevermind gets on like It Smells Like Teen Spirit or Drain You or something. And Switchfoot also, like Meant to Live, that kind of has that massive chord, E chord sound in drop D voicing, and 100% was leaning into all those things. But really proud of this one. I think it makes sense to introduce this into the order because I've never released a song like this before. Being able to release a song that clearly hints at your influences but also can sound different, you know, I'm very proud to be able to do that. And so, yeah, this one came out to be a banger for sure. I'm really happy with Fit In. So Fit In I wrote, I think, in sometime in the spring last year, but this one, Lost in This World, has a really cool intro that I actually ended up extending for the Sam suggested, and I agreed with him. So this is actually doubled in the master you'll hear on the album. But it's very simple, like the verses are just on the G major 7 the whole time, and the bass is very heavy, and that's almost the riff, which is cool. But Lost in This World is certainly about just kind of being a little lost in this world, more so like just, yeah, again, being like a little bit like lost of focus and like not sure, kind of being in like a weird funk as everyone gets. I think I probably just thought it was a cool way to kind of center a song around, and I think I write a lot of music with self-reflection and sort of just like, not mental illness, but like, again, just like, just feelings of like when you're not at your best, but like being able to express that and grow from it and use this as a way to cope. And I think I'm very lucky to have this as something like that. And these drums are the demo drums, by the way, that I originally had, but I re-recorded. And this is a song that I play all the instruments on. And I had an idea for all the parts, and I could have had Sam play a killer drum part on it if I wanted to, or Mike play bass, but I had recorded this a while ago, and I ultimately decided I wanted to do all the parts and knew exactly how I wanted it to sound. So I was just like, easiest if you do it yourself. And this one also cool, I didn't even talk about all the vocal stuff, but I'll go back quickly to like the, you can hear like the ooze underneath the main part. The heys, which are cool. Had never really done that before, but this doesn't have too many overdubs or anything. It's pretty simple. It's like the one, reverb thing. And then this solo, I was kind of thinking like Impossible Germany by Wilco a little bit. Just have a very long, just like, nothing crazy, and Nils Klein's an incredible guitarist and gets really technical. This stays a little more simple, but something simple. Sam added a little reverb in the one you'll hear on the record to this track, the guitar track, but very simple little breakdown I thought was cool, and then it's gonna get loud. The last chorus is the one that really goes hard, and you're gonna hear that right here. And just go full crash cymbal, and definitely gets loud, and that I thought was cool, like a different ooh, kind of an improvised different element, and then add some more guitars, some octave. Mocking the joke of me, like again, it's sort of like pretending that people are like, almost just like not taking you seriously, and I've sort of learned to like, drown stuff like that out, and I don't think people actually think that, but it's definitely driven me to, write my best work when I'm feeling like kind of like, it's weird to say that you want to write your best work when like you're thinking of people that are doubting you or this or that, but like if you kind of have a little bit of that edge when you write, it's like you may come out with it or write something like that otherwise, but I think it does help when you have a little bit of that, like you got to overcome something kind of feeling, and like especially because a lot of these songs, while it's not like super dark or anything, like it definitely like allows like the mood really to be authentic and really hit home like that. And so yeah, again, Lost in This World, like kind of baseline level meaning, but certainly made for a really cool kind of like 2010s Brooklyn indie instrumental kind of vibe with the bass and the guitar, and kind of finishing out with like a little more Nirvana headbanging at the end. So yeah, that's Lost in This World. All right, so the record's right. This song is definitely a song like doesn't have like a super underarching meaning for sure. It's like a little more just like, I thought the lyrics sounded good, and I've gotten better at writing songs with like almost always having some sort of meaning, but this one I do think had a little bit more of like just whatever sounds good, find a cool name for it, and I thought The Record's Right was a cool song name. And I love vinyl, I collect, and it definitely leans into kind of the Oasis Beatles, like chord selection, and thought the Every Little Thing part was cool. Definitely familiar sound. It's not that no one's ever heard something like this before, but I think the major seventh chord choice in the verses, and then this little more kind of like basic major chords in the chorus was just like a cool way to spice it up, get a little bit of the blue reverb, but also a little bit more of that more poppy kind of sound. And then I thought it was cool, like do a chugga-chugga on the guitar and the breakdown, and you're not hearing Sam's drums here, but he does a great kind of response to those chugga-chuggas, which is awesome. Really rocked this one, and just filmed a music video actually last weekend for it with with Kyle behind the camera. But this is cool, I thought. I added another guitar, and then these leads are pretty cool. Who knows if those were the right ones to do, but I ultimately was just like, that's that. Those are the leads, and thought it was cool. Different kind of thing, interspersed. But then instead of I'm meant for you, I said, I'm dead to you. I don't know what that means and who I'm talking to here, to be honest with you, but that you can, we'll leave it up to you for interpretation. But fun fact, my brother Mason's actually on this song. I decided it would be really cool to have all of my siblings on the album in some way, and so Mason actually sings on the Every Little Things. And so you'll hear him a little bit in the background, but you hear the octaves that I added it in right here, which are cool. And then the guitar solo comes in. Very simple. It's actually a doubled solo, but that's on the Rat. The other guitars are on the Ibanez Tube Screamer. And I think I recorded this on the ES335. And I'm pretty sure I recorded this in like summer 2022 with Instead. Because these are the first two songs, Instead and The Record's Right, were the first two I ever introduced to the band for Shopping Cart to play live in my debut show at the Bowery Electric. And then you could hear this was the bridge, and now this is the loud part with the band. And this definitely goes hard. And this is my demo bass part. Fun fact, that little slide up I had Sam throwing, because I was like, even though I liked Mike's part, I was kind of like, I did want to keep that original demo part, because it's like, it adds a cool lift underneath the lyrics and everything else in the mix. And this is doubled vocals all throughout, so I definitely, when Sam heard it, he could immediately hear Dave Grohl, and because Dave Grohl doubles all his vocals, and that's kind of partly why I double my vocals as much as I do. Obviously you don't want it to be too muddy where you can't understand what you're saying, but I definitely really like that sound, and that's just like the guitar stuff I described earlier that I've tried to lean in on. The double vocals definitely become my sound too, I think. And a nice clean F chord holdout, ton of guitars there, sounds great, I think. Think this one came together really nice too. Good combination of kind of the offbeat indie and the more accessible, familiar kind of rock stuff, so. Go Home. So this song, I actually was gonna collab with one of my good friends. We decided, we were actually trying to write a song, like a Foo Fighters kind of sounding song, and be like, all right, I'll do the instrumental and we'll kind of both sing on it. But we both got busy. He does a little more R&B stuff, and so I ultimately decided to like save it for my album, and I ended up finishing out the melody, and this one definitely took a while to kind of figure out exactly what the melody would be for both the verse and the chorus, but ultimately kind of decided on what you're hearing here. And this is Sam's drums, and I played the bass, guitars, and sang, and this is the first drop D Foo Fighters kind of sounding Everlong song from Shopping Cart that I recorded last May. And I'm definitely happy with what I landed on. I think it could have gone a number of ways, but It's Time You Told Yourself to Go Home was on the original that I would have collaborated on, but this melody I was definitely thought was cool because it kind of has a little bit of an Everlong twist to it. It goes up to that high F sharp, which is at the top of my range, so it even sounds more like I'm belting it. And that's I'm tuning those two high strings on my guitar down to D. And these bends I was really happy with. And this one ultimately is about, I think just like, yeah, not always being satisfied and like unsure. And I think like the go home is like, I don't know exactly what it means, but it's like go home can almost be a metaphor for like, it's time you told yourself to like, I don't know, like, it's weird, like, it's certainly something about like getting right mentally and just being like sure of yourself and like back to kind of equilibrium, stability, if that makes any sense. It doesn't probably, but my sister's actually singing harmonies on this part. She did an incredible job. I had her double it, And then here I go home high octave. And that's on a big muff. I did that. It was empty otherwise, and I knew it needed something. And so I more recently recorded that in. So like, need to do something before I know is like, just get back to where you're comfortable. And this is the breakdown that I definitely was happy with. And it's definitely the most hardcore song I've written to date that you'll hear. Yeah, no, if there's a song, I mean, all these songs make me tear up after hearing them because I'm definitely really happy with them, but this one for sure, like I might listen to like a rough mix in the train by myself, no one knows I'm listening to it, and this one just goes hard. I mean, it makes you want to headbang for sure. And then goes in the last chorus. And this, yeah, the guitars, it's crazy. We got them really loud. I mean, I might need to raise my vocals a bit. You probably can hear they're a little low, but definitely the instrumental for sure I'm very happy with. And me and Leela, my sister, sound amazing together. I feel like there's something to be said about recording with someone that's literally like from your family. It's like your vocal sounds almost have like such a great blend. Like that's why the Oasis brothers did so great together. And then this Go Home was original too. And I just thought saying this at the end and holding out that note was cool. And then the last scream, I just lay it all out there, just like so late. And then da-da-da-da, come back with that too. So ultimately, I had the instrumental down and the verses and choruses came later. Ended up landing on something I was happy with. And yeah, there's not much more to be said otherwise, but again, just like roughly a song about just getting back to mental stability and just being comfortable with yourself and, you know, just kind of speaking that through this. So let's go home. So, Invincible. Yeah, this has definitely got the most instrument variation out of the whole record. I'm playing a mandolin here. Just thought it was cool to underlay behind that drop D acoustic chord progression, which I played on my Martin. And this is I can't remember when I wrote this one. I think June 2023. And yeah, it's definitely more laid back. It's more of like a ballady kind of thing. I played drums. You don't hear it in this demo, but I played drums, guitars, and the bass, and the mandolin, and sang on this. My brother Lance sings another Brady feature from the siblings. He sings It's Something Fake That Gets in the Way right underneath me. I think our voices blend really well together. And yeah, it's a cool breakdown. I get low again. This is the one again that has Laurie Goldstein's cello on it that you just heard with the Mellotron. And I think Invincible, quickly to say what the meaning is, actually I'll tell you in a second, but you can hear the leads. And this is another thing I like to do, like kind of the dissonant, go between the leading tone and the tonic. Really makes like kind of a mysterious, kind of ominous, off-putting vibe that I was going for, and definitely was thinking Nirvana. Foo Fighters because of the chord progression, but almost like the chords from Foo Fighters Everlong, but then getting kind of like I don't know if it's not Something in the Way by Nirvana, but like something of that vibe sort of. And then the solo is very basic, but like another like high B string thing, just ring it out and go between the tonic and the leading tone. I really wanted to kind of put people off edge a little bit, but kind of also get you in the feels. It's supposed to be nostalgic sounding. The video came out amazing. I mean, all the videos came out great, but this one actually we did VHS, and my friend Kyle actually got his friend to run this through an actual VHS player, and so the video and this song are just kick-ass. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely like, you know, the feeling of being invincible. Everyone can feel invincible sometimes, but there's definitely parts of you that feels, it's like kind of a halfway street, because it's like you might feel at your best, and then sometimes you might feel at your worst. You might feel kind of like hopeless sometimes, and I I think, but at the same time, you find ways to heal, and that's sort of what I'm saying there. And you just get through it. You know, it's life. Life takes weird approaches, and you just kind of take it at face value and do what you can to get through the things that might seem challenging. And then the ending, really happy with this too. And I basically just did the melody. It's something fake that gets in the way thing. And then the harmony of that too, I thought it just was perfect. And then it's the only one on the album that fades out, but I thought it made sense to fade it out. And yeah, ultimately this one, really, really, really proud of it. And this one for sure gets me in the feels, because I think there is parts of me when I wrote it, you know, that had a personal touch for sure of just like whatever I was feeling at the time. And you know, like the Invincible thing might be a little superficial, but I think that whatever it meant or whatever it means, it's like, I think no matter what, a lot of these songs in the record can be taken, the meaning can be taken in so many ways, which is a good thing, I think. And because they're so universally kind of like interpretive, I think that makes for a great song. And definitely happy with this record in particular, because it is like something that people and artists seek in their music they write, is they want people to be able to relate to stuff in a number of different ways and touch people in different ways. And when you can do that through the song names being, you know, appealing and accessible, and the lyrics and the instrumentals all tying together with that, I mean, you can't really do more than that. So I'm really glad that it all came out the way it did. But anyway, that's Invincible. So Suppressed. So first time I've ever written a song where I start with the vocals right in like this. Not only right in, but acoustic doubled with harmonies. I've never done that before. And I thought I nailed it. I was really happy with it. I definitely think that it just really right off the bat gives 90s nostalgia. I'm sure a lot of people have said I sound like Elliott Smith. I'm not going for it. I'll definitely take it as a compliment, but this is where it's different from Elliott Smith, is I'm definitely a lot more into like the grunge, fuzzed out sound. And this is the song I had said earlier in the other part of the video, that this is a song that sounds like Smashing Pumpkins. Also though, another band that I really leaned into for this record, particularly for Go Home and Suppressed, is Mama, and they definitely also listen to a lot of that music that I do. And so I was sort of like leaning into that for sure for this song. And this song I also play all the instruments on. This is a demo drum part that I ended up re-recording. Not that I didn't love the drum part, but I ultimately decided that they could sound, the Coop drums, Sam Studios drums, they just have a certain sound that I really fell in love with for the first couple songs. But I thought this more mellow kind of like verse was cool. A lot of guitars are laid down here, as you can hear, but this is a cool little build-up I do. And then the guitars come in hard. And this drum part's so simple that I wrote, but I was sort of like, I just thought it was a cool syncopated thing, and it's simple is cool sometimes, where it goes like dun ba dun ba ba kind of thing, and then the harmony underneath this I was really proud of. A harmony octave part, which just really made the song. It comes in halfway through, as I usually do. I'm a little bit formulaic with that. Like, I like to throw octaves in halfway through a second chorus kind of thing. But I thought it made sense to do it. And then this is like kind of a bridge breakdown. I do play a lead throughout, but it's like not really supposed to be like a full-on guitar solo. But that's really fuzzed out. That's on the Fuzz Factory. And this is supposed to just really put you in the feels. Just kind of consume you, kind of. And the new drum part I even do a little more headbanging on the Crash when I re-recorded like a month or two ago at the Coop. But again, this one, it's funny, the name of the song is called Suppressed, but it really is about like the feeling of trying to go from being suppressed to not suppressed, and saying, kind of echoing, I'm not suppressed inside, and just kind of assuring yourself everything's fine, it's gonna be all right, you're gonna get there in whatever situation you are. And it could be, anybody can kind of relate to that, because we're not always at our best, and it's just kind of belting that. Not taken too literally, but I think there's a chance I might have felt a little bit down when I wrote it, but like, I'm not trying to make that the message. I want the message to be like, I'm not feeling that way anymore. This is where I've gotten to, and and that was another improvised Suppressed Inside lyric for the melody. And that's like simple, like just like a roll on the snare, but like I felt like it served the song well. And I'm not good enough of a drummer to do anything too technical, but like I'll serve the song like a Ringo Starr. I'll do what I can to play the right part. And I play on 4 songs in the album for drums, and this is one of the 4. This ending again is just really nice and fuzzed out, and you can hear this on a lot of Sammy's Dream. And while it's only the one song that has the fuzz pedal, I thought was a cool one to do it for. So yeah, ultimately Suppressed came out that way. I'm really, really happy with it. It was really hard when it came down to it. Like, this was one of the songs that was sort of like technically on the edge of like, do I put it on or not? I had a few others that I was choosing from, but ultimately I was like, this felt right, and this felt like it needed to be on the album, because it's not like many of my songs that I've written. I wrote it in like March 2022, so it was one of the earlier ones I wrote, actually, but it ultimately made its way on the album, and I'm not regretting it. So anyway, that's Suppressed. All right, See You in My Free Head. This one is the oldest song that I wrote that made it on the shopping cart. I actually wrote this one and recorded the guitars and bass and rough vocals that I re-recorded later here in August or September of 2021, actually, in Nashville. And this one is definitely like a very like distinct sound. It doesn't sound like any of the other songs in the album. Like I said, it's got like a very specific guitar part, which again, very happy with it, but it's definitely like, it's hard to play over it because it's like, it is so specific. And like Sam made that comment when he ended up recording drums I didn't use my drums for the record. I had Sam re-record, and he did a great job. He definitely kind of voiced that for sure, and he's absolutely right. It definitely has a very distinct arrangement and roadmap of the song, but it's very simple in the fact that I'm literally just saying "See you in my free head" the whole chorus basically. But essentially, it's a made-up love song. This was sort of before I really started to write a lot more songs and churn out songs of like more personal connection. This is a song that's got, okay, that's part I'll point out real quick. This is definitely a part that I thought had kind of that Oasis, like simple but like catchy vibe. So it's definitely just like a made up love song. And then like See You in My Free Head is sort of like, okay, like I've gotten over this, and like, you know, I'm not letting, even kind of ironic, because if I'm writing a song about it, like clearly whatever that made up thing is for someone, like clearly still affecting them. But I was happy with that scream. But I think like, it just was a cool thing to write. And I think I originally started writing this song on the plane, and it's so hard to write music on the plane because you really can't, you can't record a voice memo. You don't want to be a weirdo and like do something that people would hear. But I think on my way to a family trip on the plane, I think I was coming up with this at one point, and ultimately finished it a few months later. But again, it's just like not a super deep meaning, but like I thought See You in My Free Head was catchy, and it just sounded good. There's not too much thought. And then this solo, I almost feel like I did it for like a TikTok or something. I don't know for sure I did, but it's a little more technical, and I don't know if it's what I would have necessarily just like come up with. I could be getting that wrong. It could be another song I never finished, but I do know it's a bit more technical than anything else on the album, but because I take pride in my guitar and technicalities and showcasing that a little bit, at least my lead playing and not just being a songwriter, I felt like that was a good song to showcase it. And then this breakdown I thought was really cool. This is the only song that has the original Mike vocals, which then here I go back to the TLM 103 and it gets loud again. Definitely a headbanger all the way throughout in the choruses. And it is a little repetitive, I guess, but in a cool way, I almost like wanted it to be. I wanted to kind of be like, just put it in people's heads, See You in My Free Head. You're gonna be singing it at the shows if you really like it, so. And then this part is where like the Mellotron comes in as well, that I used in Invincible too. But the vocals I felt like I definitely nailed here. Kind of gave a little bit more there, and then harmonies. Some guitars in the back. And then this bass line I was really happy with too. I didn't talk about, but I played the bass on this. So that's See You in My Free Head, but I thought it was a good 12th song. I haven't been really talking throughout this about like the order, but I think I'm happy with the order. I think it makes sense to me. I've known what the order is going to be for a while, which is kind of weird, but like I'm sort of like, I've told people and I'm like, that's the order I'm thinking of, and I think everybody's backed me on it. I mean, no one, if anything, like no one would tell me, oh, this should be the order, but I'm definitely happy with this being 12. I think it's a good song to kind of have later in the album. Not that I'm not proud of it, but like showcase the others, have this one a little bit later because it's a little more funky, and then like, not funky in the funk genre, but just funky. And then the very last song being How Come It Happens, which I think is a great, I'll talk to you in a second about that. But ultimately, See You in My Free Head I thought was a great 12th song, so there you have it. How Come It Happens, the last song on Shopping Cart. We've finally made it to the 13th song, and I think this is a great one to end it with, because it's also in the key of E major. Not that anyone cares who listens other than the music theory people, but I thought it's a great song to end with because it's like, it's a ballady kind of thing. Definitely like a little more of a ballady vibe. And it kind of has like a similar sound to We're Talking, but it's slow. So I thought it was cool to start with that and then come back full circle and bring all the things that I had incorporated in the album throughout into this song, as I kind of did with Blue Reverb in My Name. But this one, really proud of as well. Went for a high and dry Radiohead kind of vibe, but also sort of like Don't Let Me Down Beatles, kind of late Beatles. This bass line I was really proud of. And it's actually doubled underneath the root note bass line that I did. And I really just tried to like pluck it really hard. When I play bass, I'm not a real like, I'm not a traditional bass player. Like I've never learned how to properly use my fingers. This is the riff with the guitar, but like I pick almost everything when I play bass. So I just thought it was cool to like really treble it out in that part. But this song is definitely about getting through whatever that struggle it is you're having or that feeling, something that might be keeping you back from like really living your life to your full potential, something that's keeping you up all night, almost like a rite of passage was one of those things. And I don't know when it came to me. I think it was just here writing it. And I think things have changed me, like for the good and for the bad. Everyone has those things. And you just kind of have to get over it, and you're trying to get past it. You don't know why it happens, but you come to terms with it and you accept whatever it is, and you say, I can move forward, and I'm gonna have a really happy, successful life and be the person I want to be. And this solo definitely is a little more technical too, and I wanted to have some songs that were more technical, that did a little bit more, that weren't necessarily super melodic, that still sound good to the ear, but like might not be catchy and earworms. And then this is where it gets loud at the end, kind of headbang at the end. And I felt like it's a great way to end the album, just like go all out in the last chorus of the last song on the album. And the bass part that I was talking about earlier, that kind of Paul McCartney bass part that I was trying to go for at least. I'm not Paul McCartney, but I tried to go for that. And then here's where it comes back in. So I just kind of say that a few times, really ring it out. And then here I go up in the range a bit, just even more belting it. And then the oohs, thought were fitting. And then just the tss on the happens. And this I think I recorded on my Taylor acoustic, which I also did for Suppress. I didn't mention that, but who cares really? But that's how come it happens, and this is how the album ends. Really, really proud of this one. Definitely a kind of a combination of high and dry. Also was going for like slow pulp Idaho, if any of you have ever heard that. I almost felt like it was a combo of both. Not trying to like copy, but again, like that was inspiration. And I think that ultimately it really services a lot of different things and brings a lot of elements from the album into one, like I said. So definitely a great way to end the record. And yeah, hope you guys make it to the end of the record to hear it. So, but that's all I've got. That's Shopping Cart track by track with Carter Brady, myself. Really glad that you tuned in. Go check out the album if you haven't already, but I'll leave you to the listening. So hope you have a great one and take care.